dos, uno. ¿Qué pasa, campeones? And welcome to the Churros y Tacticas podcast. It's Monday, the 28th of September, and Kian and myself are here for you, the La Liga fans, to bring you nothing but the best that La Liga has to offer on match day 1, 2, 3, depending, I guess, which team you're following. For some, it was match day 1. For others, it was match day 3. In any case, it was a jam-packed weekend for all the teams involved. We've got a lot to cover. We've got a lot to get through. And I have to say, I'm doing this intro somewhat reluctantly. I get it. Ansu is the shiznit. He's confirmed it once again for all you doubters out there. Yes, Ansu Fati is the real deal. However, Real Madrid, last time I checked, is above Barça in the league standings. And last time I checked, and the referee checked VAR, Real Madrid is still getting help from the referee. So, Kian, what the hell am I doing the intro?
I don't know. I honestly thought I was going to do it, but then you just stole the show. I really had a lot of things to be excited about. One is because, as you know, I love you dearly, and your happiness means a lot to me. So when you're happy, I'm happy. So when I saw Ansu Fati cementing his place as the next Lionel Messi and giving us something to think about for the next 17 years, I was really happy. I was really excited. And he has all the Messi traits. He won a penalty. I don't know where he got that. He pulled it out of his ass. I think all he had to do was just kind of jump. All he had to do was just jump around, do a little jump forward. And referee blows his whistle because that's a superstar Messi call. That's what Messi gets to. So, no, all jokes aside, you had the better weekend. There's no question. Barcelona looked great. Kind of confirming some of the thoughts that you and I had, that Barcelona are not going to be as bad as some people thought they were going to be. Obviously, Messi staying helps. Obviously, it's also too soon to say anything. It's one weekend in. I had a question on Twitter. Somebody pointed to me saying that are Barcelona Atletí the favorites now? I'm like, what? We know nothing. Like, Real Madrid has played 2 games. Barcelona has played 1. I would be very surprised if Atletico are going to win 6-1 every game. Although, hey, they look great. Suarez look great. Looks so great. Marcos Llorente look great. So, anyways, a lot to discuss, right? So where do you want to start?
I don't know. I mean, the big talk of the weekend, and I don't know how tired you are at this moment to, I guess, defend your loyal white squad of the criticisms that probably being launched your way with regards to VAR. I'm sorry that we need to get into this, but we finished talking about VAR last season, and 2 matches in, and we're talking about VAR again. What is going on? I mean, Real Madrid, it was a good game. Listen, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I was pleasantly surprised with Betis in that first half. I thought they were dominating that first half and deserved to be up. And for it all to crumble down to, you talk about Ansu Fati's dodgy penalty. I would like to know your thoughts on Emerson's send-off, and I would like to know about that penalty call that even caught Borja Mayoral and the rest of the Real Madrid squad, and Betis squad for that matter, off guard. What did you make of that?
I'm so confused. I put the ball in your court. I said, Diego, La Liga was awesome this weekend. We have 300 things to talk about. Which way you want to go, and you want to talk about the referee first? That's like the last thing on my list, if even that.
Not the referee. I just want to look. Just get it out the way. It's like the elephant in the room, Kiana. Let's get it out the way.
It's not the elephant in the room. There's no elephant here.
When you have somebody like Carles Puyol, Kian, when you have somebody like Carles Puyol of all people, the player that stripped Piqué from holding a lighter up in the Bernabeu during a Clásico and then chucking it away like it is nothing, focused on the game, a player that stands for fair play, pushed his own teammates out of the way for doing silly dances in front of the opposition fans, a player who just got on with it, a player that stood for integrity, honor, and everything. When you get a player like that tweeting about dubious decisions that once again allow Madrid to take home the 3 points at the start of the league, not at the end of the league when it's kind of like, when the title's up for grabs and okay, somebody needs to win and needs to get a little help. But at the start of the league already, and says, listen, we're going to have to do a whole lot of things well if we want to stand any chance of winning, reconquering the league title. That's got to tell you something, Kian. At least something.
It's a bad look for Puyol. That's all I got to say. Shocked that he tweeted that. He's above that, as you would say. I think he lost my vote in the La Liga presidency elections. San Iker all the way. I'm surprised he even tweeted that, knowing that he wants to run one day.
Does he?
Just
That's
to get out of the way,
I
don't know if he still actually wants to run. But the Emerson red card, to me, was a red card. What I don't think was the right call was the penalty on Mayoral. Even when I was watching it, it's not a penalty. Then I was kind of informed, no, because at first I thought it was a foul, like they were calling a foul on Mayoral. I didn't think it was a foul. Then I realized that they had called a handball, which surprised me because I didn't even realize it was a handball. Then I actually saw the handball and I still didn't think it was a penalty. So that's where I am on this. I don't think it was a penalty. I think the red card is justified, and that's, I don't know what else you want me to say.
I'll just ask you another question. After having admitted that, how do you feel about the fact that Real Madrid continues to need the help of VAR in order to get out of tough situations? Are you currently concerned with the way that Real Madrid is executing their game plan, their approach to the game?
What is this, El Chiringuito? What is
These are valid questions, Kian. These are valid questions.
Listen, I think Real Madrid probably would have pulled that one out, given that they were playing with 11 players. Maybe not. Who knows? I'm concerned about certain things. I'm concerned about the team's goal-scoring ability. It's interesting because the game against Betis, in a way, any game against Real Betis is an outlier. And what I mean by that is that because they've had a pretty decent start under Pellegrini, but I think there are a lot of lingering issues that will fester from their previous things with Quique Setien. And that is, they want the ball, they want to play high up the pitch, they press, and they play a very high line. And for that reason, any big team that plays against them is going to have a million chances. Likewise, they're probably going to have their own chances too. This is why Betis, to me, are kind of, in a way, it explains away in the past few years why they get results against big teams such as Real Madrid, such as Barcelona, and lose games that they shouldn't lose. And part of that is because of their style of play. Big teams will open up against them, which basically means Betis will be vulnerable, but also those are the moments where they'll actually have space to attack, because teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid will also leave them space to attack. And that is, I think, a scouting report that some of these big teams maybe need to take into consideration against Betis, because when we look at Real Madrid's defense, they uncharacteristically did not defend well. If we're taking last season's sample size where their defense was improved, against Betis, they did not defend well. They kept a high line. They also did not have a good press. They didn't control the game, and I wonder if they had just kind of been more cognizant about the way Betis play, they would have tweaked things a little bit. And the second half was just basically back and forth pickup game where neither team's midfield could get control, and their defense was all over the place for both teams. And ultimately, Betis had 10 men. They had inferior talent on the pitch, and I think that's why they lost. But to answer your question, like, am I concerned about kind of the way Real Madrid have scraped by in this one? If we're talking about the team's offense, I'm still concerned about the team's offense, because I don't see any clear path to these problems being solved unless we really become patient with Luka Jovic. The team missed a bunch of chances. Ramos missed a couple chances. Benzema missed.
He cannot fail. He cannot miss penalties, but he missed a wide open shot on goal, pretty much closer to the goal, and that was quite stunning to see. Yeah.
Yeah, and if that's any other defender, the excuse would have been, well, he's a defender. He's not. Right. I guess that's why he missed. But at the same time, it's Ramos, so we expect him to score that, right? Benzema missed some key chances. Benzema did a lot of great things too. He also missed key chances. And again, this goes back to, like, we need somebody to put those goals away. And so does that issue get solved? I just don't see it getting any worse, but at the same time, with each passing game, this continues to be an issue. Well, it's still an issue, even if it can't get worse, right? So, it does concern me a little bit. And now I'm not too concerned. given that we're 2 games in. I think there are things to take away that are good. I think, once Odegaard gets into the rhythm, I think you can already see the good things that have come from his presence, his positioning between the lines. But the team needs to score goals. And just to end, Diego, I don't think Real Madrid are going to run into the Betis situation every week, because Betis gave them chances to score. I don't think every team in La Liga is going to give Real Madrid that kind of space. So if you're not taking your chances against Betis, I'm worried about how many chances you'll need against the smaller teams that won't give you that kind of space.
See, I want to ask you about Odegaard, and I'm going to ask you that question just in a minute. But just to give you my feedback on Betis, I think that Betis, again, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Against the big teams that perhaps leave more spaces open in the back and allow Betis to really showcase their offensive firepower, they're always going to have a tough time. I think right now, in the case of Betis, who, if I'm not mistaken, are top of the league because they beat Alaves in their first match. Then they beat Valladolid, of course, in their second match. What's more interesting, I think, in their case, and that will dictate perhaps at least this first half of the season how well they can potentially continue to do are these next upcoming games. I'm looking at their fixtures right now. They're facing Getafe next, Valencia, then Real Sociedad. 3 direct competitors for them in La Liga, whether their objective is Europa League. I would imagine after investing so heavily into the squad that at least their objective will be finishing in the Europa League places. So direct competitors that they will face for these next upcoming 3 matches. But you've got to be optimistic if you're a Betis fan. They're getting the points that they need to be getting, that they would have been dropping last season against your Alaveses and Real Valladolid, your sort of mid-table teams. So you have to be encouraged. Fekir is still... He's the man. Canales is playing good. Carvalho, I think, had a really good game against Real Madrid as well. And Emerson, I told you already last season when we were doing, I think it was in the mid, sort of the halfway point of the league when we were giving out our prizes. Emerson is one of my favorite right backs, and were it not for Serginho Dest, who looks destined to be coming to Barça, I wouldn't have mind having Emerson come back to Barça. I say come back because he is, of course, a Barça player. Having said that, Odegaard, disappointed so far. I know we're just 2 games in for Real Madrid, but seeing how he started with Real Sociedad and put all of our expectations, he put the bar so high, he himself, for the way that he started off last season. At the moment, it's not the same Odegaard that we're seeing.
I don't think that's fair. I mean, look, it's a new team, it's a new environment, new faces. He's got to get adjusted to the system. He's playing a little bit of a different role. He's playing more centrally. He's not seeing the ball as much as he used to at Real Sociedad. He has other players in midfield behind him who have a lot of the ball. Cruz being one of them. I think his positioning has been really good in between the lines. I think defensively the team has suffered a little bit because of his presence, because he's not tracking defensively. We saw that against Betis with Carvalho's goal too. So, but I think just give him some time. I think he'll be fine. I'm really not too worried about Odegaard, to be honest.
Is he better off with Kroos or Modric?
I think he can play with either. I don't think it matters. I think what will probably matter more is eventually the off-ball movement needs to be a little bit better. So if he's going to pick out the passes he picked out at Real Sociedad, I think there were a few times where he looked up and there was only so much he could do. He had some good link-up play moments too in the first half. But again, Isco came in and probably helped the team control a little bit better. But I think it's kind of like just a different look that the team hasn't had. If we're being really honest, we haven't had an Odegaard-type player in Real Madrid for a few years. So I think it's just going to take time for Zidane to discover his best role. And I actually trust Zidane in this one. I think a lot of people were worried. You bring Odegaard back, he's obviously not going to play as much as he did against Real Sociedad. I think that's pretty much factual, even though he's played both games so far. I think once everyone's healthy, there's just too much competition for him to play every game. But I think Zidane is really high on him, so I think he's going to make it work. I just think we need time for him. I'd say around Christmas time, if it's a concern, then it's a concern. But I think it's a little bit too early.
Kia Sobani, my clock is marking exactly in 2-1, the 15-minute mark. We have not said a word about Football Club Barcelona yet. It's very odd for me to be talking to you so long without actually having uttered anything about my beloved club. Should we talk about Atletico less? Or, excuse me, should we talk about Atletico next, not less?
If
Next.
we talked about Atletico any less, then they would just vanish from this podcast.
I don't know how to fuck that out. I meant next, of course. Do you want to pick it up with Atletico's thumping win over Granada? I mean, listen, they deserve a lot of credit. Granada, team that obviously caught a lot of teams off guard, I think, as they were the new La Liga newcomers. I don't know if they've been found out. I think that is probably an overstatement and an overreaction for that matter. Having said that, I was hugely surprised by how Cholo approached this game. And so happy for Joao Felix, as well as Luis Suarez, but we'll get to him. But for me, the man of the game, Joao Felix, really looked like the Joao Felix that we all are hoping and to see. And then he was able to showcase his talent, from beginning to end, running the floor, associating well with his players, allowing, he himself running into space, but also allowing his forwards running into space. I mean, Diego Costa is scoring freaking goals, scored more goals in one game than he has for the past 2 seasons, I think. I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me. But Diego Costa looked good. And I don't know if that has to do with Joao Felix being on top of his game, or maybe Luis Suarez sitting on the bench and Diego Costa feeling a little bit of heat under his ass and finally having to perform because he's got some stiff competition now.
That's actually what immediately came to my mind when I saw Diego Costa scoring. I was like, maybe he just has a fire under his ass now with the competition. And maybe he just didn't feel threatened by Morata enough to actually get his shit together. But with Suarez here, it's a different story. I don't know if you saw his quote after the game, where he was asked about his partnership with Suarez. He was like, it's great. It's going to work. He bites, I kick. And it's a great quote. I think, there was a...
Only Diego Costa could say that as well.
Yeah, only he can pull off that quote. After the 6-1, and especially after Suarez scores 2 goals, there was a part of me that thought, you know what? I'm going to do the intro. This is too good. This is just the weekend set up perfectly. Suarez scores 2 goals. Real Madrid win. A little bit of VAR at the end just to make Diego a little bit more salty. Villarreal's going to come good at the Camp Nou. And I'm going to do the intro. Obviously, that dream was taken away from me. But I do wonder, before the Barça game and you saw Suarez's 2 goals, what were you feeling in that moment, kind of in that window in between before you knew Barça were going to transcend?
It was so awkward. It was so weird to see Luis Suarez scoring, moving around the pitch as Colchonero in a Atletico shirt, doing his usual kind of ceremonial tributes to when he scores the goals with the blue tape around his fingers as opposed to the red this time. And listen, I was chuffed for him because, like I said it on the last podcast, I wish him nothing but the best. I wish him no ill. I wish him no harm. I like the fact that he's already come out just blasting onto the scene, warming himself up to the Colchonero fans, who have just got to be licking their chops right now, looking at a young, dynamic Joao Felix commanding, bossing the field, taking the lead. Diego Costa coming off the bench, scoring a brace. Luis Suarez rather, but also Diego Costa banging them in. So if you're Colchonero right now, you've got to be pretty excited and fancying your chances more than ever to make a serious run once again for the league title. And again, with regards to my feelings to Luis Suarez, it was very awkward. The goals that he was scoring were great goals as well. I mean, providing that initial assist to who was it? Was it Saul, or who did he provide the assist to? I forget now. But anyway,
whose assist?
Luis Suarez provided an assist as well.
Marcos Llorente.
Was it Llorente? Okay. Getting a penalty, scoring to himself. It's classic Luis Suarez. I think Luis Suarez as well, on a mission to prove a certain somebody or a certain set of somebody wrong, showing that he still has what it takes, that you just cannot write the Uruguayan striker off, because he still has so much football left in his boots and so much more to give. I'm not going to backtrack into the conversation of whether or not he should have stayed at Barça. I've made my peace with him leaving. I also think it was the right decision, so we're not going to rehash that argument. But he's at the right team right now. I mean, with him, Diego Costa, and other characters like Diego Simeone, I think it's a match made in heaven, or a match made in hell if it doesn't go right. I think right now this started off like a honeymoon for Atlético de Madrid, and hopefully for them they can keep it up. It certainly looks well, because they did it against a team like Granada, who again last season were La Liga newcomers, but also this season have started off with a bang. What was it? 4 consecutive wins, I believe. They're currently sitting just below Betis in the league standings. So for Atletico, of all teams who were used to seeing just score 1 or 2 goals, put six past Diego Martinez's team is an incredible achievement, and shouldn't be taken lightly. So watch out, La Liga. Atletico, I think, is here to stay and here to cause some serious damage.
In a way, I was a little bit reminded, because Atletico obviously beat Granada 7-1 a few years ago, and it was early on in the league. That was 2015. I was reminded of that not only because it was Granada was obviously the blowout win, but I took myself back to that moment in 2015 after that game, and I remember the narratives and the storylines and the talking points were all about, wow, Diego Simeone is going to try a different approach now. He had the heartbreak against Real Madrid in the Champions League final. He's going to start attacking more, trying to unlock something maybe new here. And it wasn't a premonition of Atletico getting really any better. And actually, when they did try to do that, their defense suffered a little bit. But I think this is real. Like, if we're asking, like, is this real? Like, how much can we take away from this? I think it's real in the sense that Luis Suarez is the best striker they've had since Diego Costa in 2014. Right? You have to go all the way back.
Yeah.
And, Griezmann never got to play with that version of Diego Costa, but it kind of, seeing like João Felix and Luis Suarez together, it kind of, maybe the last time Atletico had something like that up front would have been like Griezmann and Mandzukic. Nice. But I think they have more offensive options now this season. So obviously Marcos Llorente being unlocked in a new position, Diego Costa, if he can continue this form, I'm very skeptical of that. I don't think he can, but hey, maybe I'll be proven wrong on that.
Nobody expects him to be a starter.
Awesome, No, but if he can just come in and score like 10 goals this season, maybe that's a realistic expectation. If he gets to 10 goals, I'd consider that a successful season for him.
Huge.
This is a really good team. Mostly because we might be seeing João Felix come into the fold a little bit more here. He looked great in Atletico's Champions League run before they were eliminated by Leipzig, and he looked great. Yeah, he really looked awesome against Granada. He looked, just his touches, his bounce, his swag, his passes, his goal. The way he really also took this team, I think, on his back. I mean, you saw him tracking back, demanding the ball rather, and just taking lead, taking charge, associating well the 1-2s with his teammates, and seeing Diego Costa making the right runs into space. It was awesome, and I like this version of Atletico very much. They're going to be a contender. I think. I honestly, this is how I really feel. I don't know what happens with fourth place. We can talk about Sevilla. They look good so far. They look good in the Super Cup despite losing. I think that's a really fun project. By the way, go back and look at Jean Jordan's assist to Munir over the weekend. Unbelievable. Yeah. So, and by the way, Cadiz actually gave them some issues on the weekend. But my point is, I don't think they're in the top 3, list short list of contenders, which is Real, Atleti, Barça, which I think those three are going to push each other, which means, to be honest, we might have a really exciting title race with three teams this season. And that would be great for the league.
And can we shout out Luc de Jong as well, who continues to have a good start of the season, good in the air. That was a great header, and I think he started off the season on the right foot as well after having a tough, especially first part of the season last season. So I'm on the topic of Sevilla again. I'm expecting a very serious team. Hopefully we can call them a title contender. I feel like many seasons, quite often, we're kind of putting them in the mix sort of halfway through the season, and then right at that point when we do so, they sort of start slipping away and fading from that potential title race and end up in fourth spot or so. But let's see, because I'm so far as well, I'm super excited from what we're seeing from this Sevilla side. You mentioned that game against Bayern Munich. I mean, just what an achievement for Lopetegui to even put the German and European champions, pushing them to their limit, and even had a chance himself to win that Super Cup if it wasn't for Inicidi's bad finish, of course. But so yeah, I mean, Sevilla, another team, absolutely, who I think if they can keep it up, are looking good at this point in the league or in the season.
If they can get Luc de Jong going, that changes everything for them.
Yeah.
First of all, they desperately need a striker. Part of the reason is because De Jong is so good off the ball, but he hasn't been finishing. If he finished chances last season, they would have been a top 3 contender more so than a comfortable fourth place team.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical if De Jong gets going, but if he gets to like his PSV days when he's actually finishing those chances, look out.
That's the thing. He has it in him. We've seen him do it with PSV, exactly. All right, let's talk some Barça news.
So,
man.
What's that?
Let's talk some Barça news.
We're 40 minutes in. I feel like this could be
27.
Let's make this the new norm. I don't know why I said 40. I'm looking at something different. I'm looking at just like a totally different clock. We're almost 30 minutes in. And I'm kind of liking this new norm. No Barça talk. Just get them out. Just ignore everything good they do on the pitch. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. Just be ignorant to it. Okay, so while we talk about Barça, can I just provide, not because I believe that I don't believe that this Barcelona team is good, but just to provide something to cool down the Barça hype for a second.
Go on.
I think Villarreal were a complete mess from start to finish. I think Emery got everything wrong. I think they started off doing some good defensive things. They do the classic big team versus Barca thing where they defend narrow, 4-4-2, keep it compact. But Mario Gaspar was just like completely out of his depth.
You had issues with
runs
him.
Behind him. He was bad, but the other problem for Villarreal is that Samu Chukwueze was bad, and he's somebody who's given Barcelona problems in the past. Part of the problem was, I think, two things. One, he wasn't defending at all. And if you're not defending Fati and Alba, you're screwed when they're in that form. And the other thing was they would go to him. He would get the ball. And then as soon as he would get the ball, it was very clear Koeman was like, look, you just swarm him because he's a dangerous player. So Alba, Longley would come over immediately. Samu would look up. There'd be nobody to pass to. Apart from, there was a bunch of Villarreal players on the opposite flank, completely open, obviously because all the Barca players were kind of collapsing on Samu, and Samu just was not recognizing early enough that he could have just switched it and Villarreal would have had some chances to counter. So their transition offense was terrible. Their pressing was bad. I think Emery got it wrong. And Kubo came in at the end and he looked good. So that's one learning that Mallorca learned that eventually, like, you just got to start this kid. I think Villarreal will eventually come to that realization. But I saw you tweeting at one point, like, why isn't Kubo there? Every Real Madrid fan was upset about it. I think he'll eventually work his way in. I'm not too worried about that side of things, but he looked good. Anyway, that's just my way of cooling you down. But yeah, tell me how great Barcelona is, please.
I mean, look, I think you're being... I tweeted before the game, I said, I have a feeling that this game is going to go one or two ways. It's either going to confirm the positive feelings that we've had so far, judging from what we saw in the preseason, or it's going to show us that there's still a long, long road ahead. I never expected this. I expected, given from what we've seen Villarreal as well so far, for Villarreal really to give Barça a hell of a hard time. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that after, the 15-minute mark, or 20-minute mark rather, we would have seen Ansu Fati already banging to what I think are cracking goals. The way that he took that first...
Right.
Sorry?
They're all right.
They were good goals, man. They were very good goals. I think the way that...
They were great.
The way that he slotted in that first one, zero hesitation. How often have we seen players in the presence of Messi? Because don't forget, he had Messi breathing down his neck. I think Messi was also expecting maybe a little step over and for him to get that shot. But Ansu Fati didn't hesitate for a second. The 17-year-old took it on the first goal and ran that ball into the back of the net, surprising me. Sending deliria through my entire body and brain without a shadow of a doubt. And 4 or 5 minutes later, he does it again with another very, very good goal off of a Coutinho assist, I think it was. Who Coutinho himself, I quite like this game as well. So I don't know. Look, I saw your tweets as well, and talking about Gaspar, you predicted Ansu Fati's, was it first or second goal? I forget. But at that moment when I read that tweet, I was like, okay, here we go. Classic Kian Madridista with his Madridista hat on, taking away credit from this talented teenager that is Ansu Fati. And I was like, what's going on, man?
Well, you know what? I noticed the Fati getting in behind Gaspar as like Villarreal's main Achilles heel before he even scored those two goals.
But give credit to Ansu for spotting that, for making himself available, and give credit to the likes of Coutinho and Alba for spotting Ansu in good positions to get a shot in.
I didn't discredit them. I think there's a reason why Gaspar was struggling is because one, he was having a bad day and Villarreal weren't defending, but also because Fati is amazing. There's a reason why I've been joking that you're going to be doing the intro for the next 17 years in the Ansu Messi era, is because I actually think the kid is amazing. He has a swag to him, the way, kind of like his body language, the way he carried himself. It really felt like he believed like he was the best player on the pitch somehow with Messi there. He's 17. I'd love to see what it looks like at 25. I'm sure there'll be growing pains along the way, and he'll have patches where people will start jumping on his back once the expectations get a little bit higher and he starts, maybe the scouting report gets out a little more. We also sung his praises in the UEFA Nations League games, was it a couple of weeks ago, where he looked great on his debut. The kid is really good. I don't take any credit away from him. I did notice that this was going to be an issue for Villarreal early, and I decided not to tweet on it just in case I was wrong. But then they scored 2 goals just right after that, and I was like, I should have tweeted earlier. But he looks great. I don't know what else to tell you. I think as much as Villarreal were bad in this game, Barca looked really good.
And don't get me wrong, I was expecting a whole lot more from Villarreal as well, Kian. A whole lot more. I mean, with the acquisition, another wing back that I liked so much last season, and I wouldn't have mind Barca taking a glance over at Estupiñán. I thought he was fantastic. So with that acquisition, I thought that Villarreal really put together an extremely complete team with so much offensive firepower. I thought Sergi Roberto was gonna have a tough day, but I hardly saw the man. I mean, it was as much credit. I guess I'm kind of on the flip side of you on this one, because as much credit as I want, in giving Barca, and I want to give Barca, there has to be a lot of eyes set on Emery right now, whose track record in the Camp Nou is awful.
Bad. Yeah.
But
Yep, it is bad.
but as well, I mean, players like Dani Parejo, players that I think, especially against Barça in his Valencia days, always brought his A game. Overall, were hugely disappointing. We saw so little from them. Of the players the likes of Alcácer, who is playing, facing his old teammates. I thought that he would be playing with more of a chip on his shoulder as well. Gerard Moreno, Espanyol passed. I thought that he would be playing with more of a chip on his shoulder as well. For me, really, Asenjo was the standout for Villarreal, if anything. You mentioned Kubo when he came in. He needs to be starting, and I think Emery will be taking note and realizing that very, very quickly, that despite his age and despite the baby face and the baby look that he has, he's more than capable of competing against La Liga's best, and he needs to be out there. Whether it's at the cost of Samu Chukwueze, who is an incredible player himself, Emery's got some reshuffling to do and figuring out to do, because I think those two players, you want them both out on the field. But in terms of Barça, look, I don't think it was all good news for what we saw. I'm not entirely convinced by Leo Messi in that false nine role. I don't know if he himself is convinced by that, but that is for obviously Koeman and Messi to figure out between the two of them. What I will say is that unfortunately, and I hate to do it, but Trincao impressed me more than Griezmann did in the short time that he was out there, and I think that has got to be a little bit of a concern for Ronald Koeman.
I think with Griezmann, it's interesting because maybe it's because Barcelona have so many of kind of the same type of player, like Coutinho and Messi, obviously not exactly alike, but just because they're players that need the ball in similar zones. I don't notice Griezmann much. And there was one point where the commentator was like, "Nice pass from Griezmann." I was like, "Oh, that's Griezmann." And so like,
it does happen,
I didn't notice him.
Yeah.
I didn't notice him much, but a couple of other things. I agree with all your assessment. I think also Pjanic looked pretty good when he came off the bench too, and I guess so. Here's I don't know how Barca's season is going to go necessarily. I won't begin to predict it, but I would have questions, okay? Because I don't know how versatile Koeman is in his tactics. I don't know if a team, plays better defensively, if their counterattacks are a little bit better. I don't know how he would react to it. We obviously have some question marks over like, without Suarez, how does the team's offense look? How much is Griezmann actually going to step up? Can Dembele stay healthy? Because that's a huge piece if Griezmann's not going to perform. For what it's worth, also, I thought Longley looked really good too in this game. But again, I don't think Villarreal tested Barcelona enough in transition. No. Who are your upcoming games? Are there any interesting tests that we can look forward to?
Good question. Let's have a look. Barca's upcoming schedule features
Celta, Sevilla, Getafe, Real Madrid. Oh, it's pretty tough schedule coming up. Okay, can work with this.
What have you got? I've got Celta, Sevilla, Getafe, and Real Madrid is already. It's in October, isn't it? The Clásico.
Yep.
Whee! Wow. I mean, yeah, you talk about tough. You talk about a tough schedule. My goodness, Sevilla, Getafe, Real Madrid, back to back. That's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we will see. I think defensively exactly what this team is made of, with the likes of facing these teams. Sevilla, obviously, an offensive powerhouse. Getafe, defensive powerhouse, but lethal on the counter attack. And Real Madrid, well, no need to highlight their threats and strengths and whatnots. But I mean, look, I'm very excited for what I've seen so far coming from this side. Felipe Coutinho, again, to highlight him, I thought that he pleasantly surprised me on the occasion as well. I think the few minutes that Pedri got on, I mean, Ronald Koeman reportedly is completely in love with Pedri. He loves the player. So that's got to be a huge boost for the young teenage Canary sensation. Because to count on the blessings of Ronald Koeman is not easy. Just ask somebody the likes of Riqui Puig, who was on the bench, so he was included in the squad, in the team list, but didn't get any minutes. And again, just looking at the setup, you kind of wonder, okay, if this is gonna be Ronald Koeman's formation with Frenkie de Jong playing like he did, who I think had a stellar game. Didn't do anything incredibly good, but did everything very solid. Didn't commit any mistakes. I think just had an all-around very, very good match. Busquets, who was good, was solid, but I don't know if he will continue to be a starter. That's what I'm getting at. I'm expecting Pjanic to start over Sergio Busquets in the latter stages of this season. You just wonder, defensively, how sound this team will be if you had somebody like Riqui Puig in there, who is more, for me at least, and we talked about this before when we had the whole Riqui Puig debate, more of an offensive-minded player, somebody that pushes this team forward, a player that brings in so much energy, so much dynamism, if that's even a word, dinamismo, I don't know, to this team.
Sure
But you wonder just when facing teams like Sevilla, Real Madrid, and again even against this Villarreal side, where the defense is going to come from if you have a player like Riqui Puig included in the starting 11. I'm happy Koeman had him out on the bench, because if the going gets tough and you need to whip out un as en la manga, like the Joker card from your sleeve, I think that's what we can expect from Riqui Puig this season. But again, players like Pedri, Trincao, I mentioned Trincao, I think the short time that he was out there, I mean, man, what a gem. What a gem. I'm very excited to have this, again, young Portuguese talent on this team and expecting big things from him. You wonder what will happen with players the likes of Griezmann, Busquets, who are, just big names in the locker room, and how Koeman is going to handle that situation with these kinds of players.
I'm excited for you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
So
I know that's genuine. It comes from the heart.
We gotta run, but is there anything we missed, or should we just do some quick housekeeping?
Let's do it. Let's do some housekeeping.
All right. So we try to do this video thing as often as we can. Is Diego coming off of work, so he's presentable. He's doing Barça TV stuff. I took a shower today. I was like, you know what? I don't look homeless today. We'll throw something up. We'll put these on YouTube as often as we can. In the meantime, Diego, I think we're 3 or 4 patrons away from 300.
Get to that 300.
So
I'm dying.
If listeners want to unlock, if listeners want to unlock Diego's rapping, then we need 4 more patrons to get that, and then you unlock some rapping.
Yeah, and not just any rapping,
Friday.
Not just mindless, senseless babbling or rapping. No, I'm gonna give you guys a sneak peek preview of the rap that I've got prepared in the case Memphis Depay joins Barça, and I'm gonna invite him to a little freestyle battle. So let's see if the patrons are hungry.
And even if he doesn't join, if we hit 300, we're still gonna do it, right? You're still gonna do it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Patreon.com/Churros y Tacticas if you want access to our Friday shows, and also follow us at Churros Tacticas. We do elite analysis on that Twitter handle, and you will never know if it's Diego or myself, but that's part of the fun of following us. You have to guess.
Yes.
So, Diego, this was fun, my friend. Thank you. We'll chat Friday.
Sounds
Take care,
good.
buddy.
Peace. Ciao.
Cool. All right, so I guess let me know how the recording was on your end, and if it's good, then you just upload it.
But again, I cannot. You just upload the link, right?
Well, this one's public, so we don't have to do a private link for this one, because we're putting this one on SoundCloud.
No, that's fine. I mean, but the link to the video, I mean, I have to, because the video itself, it's too big. Remember, for Patreon to upload it.
No, yeah, I know. Just upload it on YouTube publicly, and then
Yeah.
we'll paste the link on Patreon
Yeah,
too, so
yeah, yeah,
patrons
yeah, yeah,
can.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
But we'll also promote the actual YouTube link publicly too. That's what I mean.
Did I
To
just
get some extra.
I just had a mosquito and I went clack. I was
Yeah,
wondering if I got it. All right.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
actually,
couldn't see
dude, I'm
it.
still recording. I should finish this. Bye bye for the people watching video. Behind the scenes
You can
look
include
here.
that.